Hi, this is Dan Pastorini, and you're listening to The Grilling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Grilling Truth Pick'em Show. Of course, we have no games to pick this week. But even though we have no games to pick this week, we're still going to talk about the games that we saw last week. And even though there's no games to pick this week, we are still brought to you by GridRMO, an interactive football app where you get to call what the offense or defense will do in a live NFL game and see what all of other fans have called also. So make sure you check it out on Super Bowl Sunday. Go to the iTunes store and download it. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. And if I sound a little off tonight, it's because I really don't know how to do this because it's been so long. If you guys listen to the show, you know that Oz Davis is always the biggest loser. The problem is this week he's not. And I really like the person I have to introduce as the biggest loser, so I'm not going to make fun of him like I do Oz, but help me welcome the biggest loser because his team sucked last week, Brian Schmidt. How you doing, Brian?
It was go big or go home. I was really kind of hoping it would at least be a split, but it's all right. I'll live.
All right, and next up, we'll just go ahead and introduce the man who, if there was a biggest loser championship belt, his face would be on that belt. Help us welcome to the show, Oz Davis,
right,
who did pick both games correctly last week.
That's right. They call that the Davis Trophy for the last place finisher in any league. I just wanted to say, so I guess since we got what I called is the least marketable Super Bowl, so I figured this proves, Mike, that the NFL is 100% on the up and up, right?
Yeah, because I don't think the problem is this, though, Oz. I don't think there's anything the NFL officials could have done to fix these games.
No, absolutely not. No.
These games were over quickly, and I mean,
yeah.
At least the Steelers showed up for a half. The Packers showed up not at all. So I'm going to go now to another guy that went undefeated last week, as did I. So we're tied going into the Super Bowl, just like last year on the Pick'em Show. Help me introduce the Green Bay Packer hater extraordinaire, Matt Andruscavage.
Only second place to Pittsburgh Steelers hater extraordinaire, Mike Goodpaster.
Oh, there's teams I hate more than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I haven't found them yet, but I'm pretty sure there are. Maybe the Ohio State Buckeyes. But that's what makes it so extraordinary that me and Brian are friends.
Wisconsin?
Because, I've never met too many Ohio State or Pittsburgh Steelers fans that have any common sense. Brian was the one, so I just latched on to him. I figured that way we could have somebody do a Steelers show that I could get along with.
I got a few Packer fan friends out there that got some sense, but there ain't many. Yeah. But it is odd that this year, like last year, we're going to be tied.
Well, not necessarily, because I'm not sure who I'm picking in this game. This game's a tough one to pick.
You make a good point, because I also am undecided.
All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll start first with the New England-Pittsburgh game, because I know Brian can't wait to talk about it. Brian?
Rip it off like a Band-Aid.
The thing that I didn't understand, Brian, was the Patriots would come up almost audible every play and end up with a Steeler wide receiver or a Steeler linebacker against a Patriot wide receiver. The Patriots never made any adjustments the entire game to this. What was your thoughts on it?
Butler's game plan sucked. The first thing that came out of this for me was what I had hoped he would do defensively. It couldn't have been any worse. It's like playing Madden and pretty much just hitting the same button every time. Eventually somebody's going to figure that out, but, it was bad. You can't just sit in a straight zone against Tom Brady, who is going to find a matchup, who is going to audible and get the matchup, and then, for the most part, he found his matchup being a wide receiver who, for 4 years, lacrosse Penn State. There was his matchup. And
Jim Brown played lacrosse too, though, in Chris Hogan's defense.
Absolutely, and I have nothing against lacrosse. I love lacrosse, but the point being, Hogan is not. It's not like anybody sits here and talks about Hogan being one of the top 2 or 3 wide receivers in the league, but when you play with Brady, like I said a few weeks ago, me and you can go out there and play receiver with Brady and look good.
As long as he's just throwing hitch routes, we could.
Well, he can get me on the dig routes.
No, he can't. That dig routes usually about 10 to 12 yards. I mean, you're sitting down and taking a break before you run the dig part of the route, Brian, and so am I.
No.
And probably there's a good chance that we're snapping a hammy or pulling a groin muscle.
Well, that may happen. That may be true. I probably would snap a groin. But
would it be your own?
I'm not sure.
Somebody's groin getting snapped out there.
Somebody's groin is getting snapped. But the defensive game plan was terrible. I mean, that defensive game plan was just an abomination. And at the end of the day, you got exactly now. Again, offensively, there were people have said, well, losing Bell hurt. Look, losing Bell didn't hurt that bad. 2 touchdowns dropped. Some bright lights got a little too bright for some young wide receivers. There's going to be some definite off-season sit-down discussions with Antonio Brown. Obviously, everybody's up in arms today because Ben's not committing to next year. Look, he'll be back next year.
Now, my take on that is this, though. He's, 35 years old?
And
he wasn't going to be back much longer.
Taking a lot
but he'll be back next year. Now, this same conversation this time next year, it may be a little different. But
don't you think that a big thing they need to do in this draft is find another quarterback, though, either way?
Oh, they need to find another quarterback. They
need to find a quarterback that can replace Ben in a couple of years because Ben's taken a lot of hits. And been hurt a lot. It's not like he's Tom Brady and has been pretty much untouched for most of his career. Brady hadn't had a bunch of injuries lately because, let's face it, if you come out in the first 4 games and Ben gets hurt, I mean, you're battling with the Cleveland Browns.
It's done, but that's the whole thing is they need to find a quarterback. Offensively for next year with Ben coming back. Having Bryant back will help in the red zone because the red zone in the playoffs was, again, it was an abomination. I mean, really from the second half of Miami on offensively, it was off, and not having Bryant on the other side showed just how much that was a problem. Defensively,
they don't have a number 2 receiver. To me, they've got a bunch of 4 and 5 receivers.
Exactly. Defensively, obviously finding a linebacker to replace Timmons. But to me, they've got to find a guy that's going to replace Ben because this conversation is now going to be a yearly thing. And eventually he is going to hang it up. And if you don't have a replacement, things are going to get dicey. So,
what was the old saying? Once you've thought about retiring, you probably already retired in your mind.
Yeah.
Because once you start thinking about it, it's there. I mean, come on. He's
We
rich.
see players do this every year. We see players do this.
You don't see Tom Brady do it?
Not yet, but
I think Tom Brady will disappear when he's 50 with 10 Super Bowl rings.
Well, at this rate, it's going to. As long as Belichick don't retire, he's good.
Yeah, Belichick retires, you're done. Yeah, not a shot at Brady, but nobody can do what Belichick can do, especially when Robert Kraft, obviously drunk after the game.
And that was awesome, by the way.
Sure was.
The look on Belichick's face was more awesome than Robert Kraft. But Robert Kraft is basically, let's face it, he has nothing to do with this. He just got lucky. He hired Belichick. He lets Belichick do everything while he chases around a 30-year-old girlfriend.
Right.
The Patriots ownership, I don't think is that great. I think the front office is great because Belichick runs it. But what's your take on Robert Kraft, Oz?
Well, a lot of it. Well, I can talk.
You weren't sitting in the owner's box with him, were you?
No, I can talk about the post game afterward though, because that was some interesting stuff. That was great dynamics, group dynamics there. Look, the smartest thing I think, especially in football, but you see this a lot in baseball as well. The smartest thing you can do is let the sports people handle the sports. Don't be Jerry Jones. This is part of the reason why the Cowboys have had problems advancing anywhere in the playoff the past 20, 25 years, ever since Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Haslam's killed the Cleveland Browns by butting in all the time.
There you go. I mean, when Jimmy Johnson said, "Let me trade Herschel Walker and I'll build you a team," he made good on that promise. Now you think Jones would learn from that? No, he got greedy and thought he was the reason for that success. Again, one of the best things the owner can do is stay, not butt in, let the football guys do their stuff, and get really messed up in the box during the game if your team is cruising to a win. Now, see, I thought it was interesting what happened after the game, because it wasn't like he didn't know what he was saying. It was like he thought the crowd could read his mind and was going to go along with him, because what he wanted the crowd to say in unison was one more game, right? But that's a thing that happens, especially when you're stoned, right? Is that like you think seriously, you think people can read your mind. You think they're with you, and you're thinking about something completely different, you know? And so it was like it was that, or like meds and alcohol or something. But it was more than just alcohol. I'm convinced of that. Now, the Belichick thing was also great, because they handed him that trophy, and it looks like the kind of thing that you hang in a baby's crib, right? It's one of these things that spins around, and probably the light shines off of it and stuff. And he's looking at that thing like, what is this? You know, if Bill Belichick cared about eBay, he'd be thinking, I could make like $20 off of this on eBay. You know, I mean, it was just like, it was amazing. And Belichick has played in 11, or he's coached in 11 of these things, 11 AFC championships. He's won like what now? 7 of them. And, you know, they give him this like trophy that's not even fit to be a hood ornament. You know, I mean, that was what got me. And he's just rolling his eyes at Kraft. But I thought the trophy thing was much funnier than his reaction to Kraft.
All right, so that'll bring me to Matt, because I figured we'd have the resident stoner go ahead and talk about the drugs. But
thank you.
You're welcome. I figured you would appreciate it, and you had a good take on it, and you did. But, Matt, you look at this. He just talked about it. 11 championship games, been to 7 Super Bowls. Is this the greatest dynasty in NFL history?
I don't really see any way that it's not at this point, just because of how much there is against the idea of a dynasty now. You got so many things in place to prevent this, and they just find ways. And that's a great organization over there. There's just no other way to put it. I mean, the naysayers will say, well, they're in an easy division. And you know what? That is true. But
what team's not in an easy division anymore?
Well, you know, you can go back to, you can take all the dynasties, and there were times in those dynasties where there were easy divisions. And, you know, you just play who you play, and they just keep getting there, and they keep winning the big games. It's just what they do.
Yeah, because eventually you have to play the best teams anyways to get to the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Actually, so if you're no good, just because of a bad division, you will get exposed in the playoffs, and we've seen that before. But they're just not that kind of a team. If they go and they win this Super Bowl, I just don't see any way that there's any argument against this dynasty.
I think just getting to the Super Bowl makes there no argument. Because to me, the most impressive before was the Steelers 4 times in 6 years and winning it all 4 times. But the thing is, the Steelers dynasty lasted from 72 to 79. This has been twice that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But
that's like,
and I'll tell you, the thing that really impressed me, which makes it hard for me to pick this game, Brian, was the way Nate Solder and Marcus Cannon blocked the edge against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brady was pretty much untouched most of the game, and I think their offensive line's been underrated all year.
Yeah, their offensive line's been underrated. But you know, everything starts with this offense, with, you know, Brady and his ability. There was a couple times during the game that I noticed that he checked, and I know even when you watched the All-22, There were some times where he checked, and I know you could tell that he changed the protection. I mean, the guy not only makes sure that he puts himself in a position to obviously not get touched, make the right decisions, but he makes these guys look really good. And if you take these guys and you put them on a lot of these different NFL teams, would they look this good? That's Brady. Yeah, and that's Brady. That's Chris Hogan is a great example, cut by 4 NFL teams.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that in Brady that puts his guys in a position to be successful, and that's also Belichick. That's it all runs downhill from your head coach to your quarterback, but he puts his assistant coaches. I mean, his assistant coaches have gone on to get head coaching jobs. Now it's kind of funny when you look at his coordinators. How many of them have been successful head coaches?
Not very many, because he has his hand in everything, is my guess.
Yep. But yet, in New England, his coaches are looked at as, look at these great assistant coaches. Well, they're great in New England because of one guy. And Belichick is a guy that makes it go, and Brady having the ability to understand the system. And we talked about this early in the season when Brady wasn't playing, and they go 3-1. Is Brady a product of the system? And absolutely, he's a product of the system. Not saying that Brady wouldn't have had success.
Just like Joe
with other
Montana
NFL
was
teams.
a product of a system. John Elway was a product of a system. They all
exactly.
Yeah. Manning,
and that's the whole thing.
Egg. But it's a chicken and egg, right? You need the right quarterback to make the system work, right? Right.
Yeah, but you got to find the right quarterback, and he finds Brady in the 5th or 6th round, and 2 years later he's winning a Super Bowl with him.
Yeah.
3 or 4 teams cut Chris Hogan. All of a sudden, he looks like Julio Jones in the championship game.
Yeah, and he's got a backup quarterback on the bench that, before he got injured, looked pretty good. And we've seen this with New England backup quarterbacks. How many backup quarterbacks do people talk about? Oh, yep, got to get them, and then they get them on their team, and they're not successful.
Yeah, Matt Castle.
And Matt Castle being a great example.
Yeah, he goes 11-5 when Brady gets hurt. Everybody wants him. So what's Belichick do? He gets, a first or second round draft pick for him?
Yep.
And he's going to get a first or second round draft pick for Garoppolo.
Yep.
If he
the guy's and I will say this because I know there are people that will fight this. There are people that will fight this that will say, no, Vince Lombardi is the best, greatest NFL coach. To me, there's not a doubt in my mind that Belichick is the absolute best NFL coach there ever was, and it will be interesting to see.
Yeah, because as we talked before, his roster changes by 25% of the roster every year. Lombardi got to use the same everything. I mean, how many running backs and wide receivers that the New England Patriots went through? And the thing is this, when you look at this now, if I said, Matt, name me 10 Dallas Cowboys from the 1992 championship team, he could do it. Could you even name 10 New England Patriots right now?
It would take me a little bit. I know I could do it, but it would be easier to name the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Oz, Tom Brady's not going to be traded, dude. If anybody's traded, it's Jimmy Garoppolo.
See, I don't. This is the common wisdom, is that teams like Denver and Houston and Kansas City are going to be looking at guys like Garoppolo. But I don't know. Garoppolo seems to be the real deal.
Yeah, he does. But you're not going to get rid of Brady because he doesn't look old. I mean, you might have 3 or 4 more Super Bowls than Brady still. The AFC is not a great
conference. To get rid of Brady.
This is the thing. Okay, but look, you guys will never convince me that it's an absolutely foregone conclusion that he's there the next season. Because
he is next year.
That Brady is there. Yes,
there. Absolutely. It is a foregone conclusion.
I don't know.
There's no doubt. Brady is a Patriot next year.
Why?
Brady is a Patriot until the day
When
he
you're
dies.
talking about why, he looks phenomenal.
When everybody else is expendable, including your defensive captain, who is a 3-time Super Bowl winner.
We're talking about a quarterback that's gotten you to 7 Super Bowls. Tom Brady has been to more Super Bowls than 28 of the teams in the NFL.
Okay.
There's no way they get rid of him unless he was looking bad this year.
I don't know. The other thing is this. I just don't believe that Belichick gets rid of Garoppolo. I don't know. Given, what about
Wait a second. You just said that you think that they could get rid of Brady, who's taken him to 7 Super Bowls, but a guy who played in, 2 games is an expendable.
But it's buy low, sell high. That's what it's about. Belichick in another life is a hell of a fantasy football player. That's all he does is he buys.
No, he's not, because he's not into fantasy. He's in winning real football games with real players.
In another world, in another universe.
There's no other world.
There isn't his drug world.
That I know of. There might be another world for you, but that's probably after
I'm gonna throw this out there as a comment to all this, that just kind of see what everybody thinks. But why, to me, Garoppolo is easily expendable because Belichick has made a career out of fighting guys like that. So why would he not be expendable?
Yeah, he'll find another one. Have you seen the quarterback from Tiffin yet, Brian?
No, but I've heard about him.
Yeah, kid's really good. He may be a 5th or 6th round pick just like Brady. The kid might be the best quarterback in the draft. I haven't seen much on him yet, but what I've seen, he looks really good. But he comes from Tiffin, which is a small school. I can't remember his name. You know that. I can't remember anything. If I didn't write it down, I don't remember it. But right now, I would put him in the top 10 quarterbacks in the draft at least. But he will go out and find somebody. He found Matt Castle. Matt Castle, I don't even think ever started a game at USC. He backed up Leinart and Carson Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
But Belichick found him. And if he thinks Garoppolo's that good, he'll hold on to him another year or two, see what Brady does.
Yeah. See, I think Garoppolo is there next season, for sure.
Yeah, I think both of them.
I think the fact you're missing is this.
Yeah.
I think Belichick and Brady go out together at some point.
Really?
That's what I think too.
But see, folks compare them to the Spurs, and the thing is, the half-life on coaches lasts a lot longer, and, Belichick
Yeah, but Belichick's almost 70 years old, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's still
He's
winning.
an arrogant asshole, so I think president in 2020.
Well, yeah, there you go, for example. But until 2020, he's winning Super Bowls.
Yeah, but so is Brady, probably.
The comparison has always been to Popovich and Duncan, right? And everybody figured that Popovich was going to be 2 steps behind Duncan out the door in San Antonio. It didn't happen. And guess what? The Spurs are like legitimate contenders this year because of coaching. I can imagine Belichick doing that. That's the other thing. That's why I can imagine Belichick coaching a Patriots team without Brady.
Well, I can see him doing it too, but I'm thinking that unless Brady sustains an injury, he's got another 3 or 4 years.
Brady? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brady's probably going to fit 3 or 4 more years.
That would be amazing.
Okay, right now, you made a case for Tom Brady to be the MVP of the league this year.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
So he has not dropped off even a little bit. He is exactly what he was a few years ago. And some guys are like that. Peyton Manning sustained a neck injury. He was done. Brett Favre, too many pain pills broke his body down. He wasn't going to play that long. That's why, he crapped out at the end of his career.
Yeah.
Most of these guys have some kind of injury, the great ones. Joe Namath held on until he was too old. Johnny Unitas held on until he was 44.
Brady lost the season. Brady lost the season.
He lost
the season. He went out in quarter 1. Yeah, the year after they went undefeated or whatnot, and Castle came in.
Yeah.
Right?
What's your point? That was how many years ago? That was in 2011, 2010? That was 5, 6 years ago.
I'm just saying it's all. He has been injured. He has had a serious injury.
Yeah, he has. But my point is this. He had the injury early in his career. He's not getting banged up now. He's fine.
Yeah.
This is a stupid argument, and just because of it, next week you're going to be the biggest loser from this week. All right, let's move on to Atlanta Green Bay. Well, I mean, to me, the tone was set at the start of the game, Matt. The Falcons get the ball. They usually defer. I think the reason that they took the ball is they needed to score to get up on Green Bay, which I think Oz talked about last week, too. You got to get up on them quick. They set the tone for the game. They drove 7 minutes down the field, score a touchdown, and Green Bay was playing from behind, which they haven't been used to doing. So, to me, the tone of that game was set right then.
No question about it. Green Bay wins the toss. They always defer. And the worst thing that could have happened for them was to defer because you put your banged-up defense on the field against the best offense in football. I think
Atlanta won the toss and took the ball. They usually defer.
I really thought Green Bay won the toss, but all right. Well,
I don't know.
Either way, it was the worst thing that could have happened for Green Bay because they're out there with their defense, and they just got killed from the get-go. Down 7-0. Dallas went down the last week, and they were able to hold them to 3. Get down 7-0. Well, then Green Bay responds, and then they miss a field goal because Atlanta brought some pressure on third down, and Rodgers had to make a much quicker throw than he wanted to, and it was short. But Crosby usually makes those field goals. Once that happened, that was a big tone setter. Atlanta goes up 10-0. Green Bay still has a chance to get right back in the game, and then that fumble was critical.
Yeah, and to me, Brian, it looked to me like once you get the missed field goal, you get the fumble. It was like Green Bay had one of those oh shit moments.
Yeah, if Green Bay gets that field goal, Green Bay doesn't fumble and gets that touchdown, you have that situation where okay, hey, we can stay with them. You know, we're right here. You know, everything is going to be okay. But you know, Crosby misses that field goal, which, you know, ironically, you know, his first kick coming out of Dallas, he misses that kick. Then Green Bay drives down the field, great drive, and you know, then you get that fumble. You can't do anything, no matter how you try. You can't do anything but have that oh shit moment, and that's exactly what they had. And Atlanta, to their credit, did a great job of stepping on their throat. And that was the one thing coming out of this game that impressed me the most was Atlanta really did a great job of when it was time to step on Green Bay's throat and put them out of their misery quick. Atlanta did that. And we've seen NFL games where that opportunity is there and teams don't do it, and you allow a guy like Rodgers to get hot and get back in. Atlanta never allowed that opportunity, and I think that's what's going to make the Super Bowl a very interesting game because you know what you see on paper with New England, and we talk about Belichick, we talk about that, but Atlanta's a great, well-coached team with a lot of talent and a lot of weapons. So people that are quick to pick New England, not so fast. I think you've got to really look at this because I have no idea who to pick in this game.
No, me neither right now. That's why I'm glad we're not picking it this week. Oz, the thing that stood out to me was the defensive game plan that Atlanta had. And, I mean, they were even sticking their ends out wide just to make sure that Rodgers stayed in the pocket. I think Dan Quinn completely outcoached the Packers in this game, but similar to what he did to Carroll in Seattle the week before.
Okay, I am so glad that you said that word, okay, because I had this plan. I wanted to ask you guys, you and Brian, this tonight, okay, on the show.
Well, before you go there, me and Brian have never been outcoached, but go ahead.
Okay, but maybe
sometimes players don't play very well, right, Brian?
Exactly.
Maybe you can tell me how to outcoach them. But, I mean, that's my general question is just like, what is it? Look, the wisdom, everybody is saying this, that Mike Tomlin and Mike McCarthy in these two games were outcoached, and I think to the average fan, it's pretty obvious that Belichick and Dan Quinn are better coaches than these guys, right? But What does to be outcoached mean?
To me,
tell it
to
to
me,
the average fan.
To me, it's what you saw in the Pittsburgh game and the Green Bay game defensively. I mean, the Pittsburgh game, you ended up wide receivers on linebackers the whole damn game. You're not going to win a game like that. And with Green Bay, it was the fact that I don't know that they had a game plan. I think they were just throwing stuff on the wall to see what would work. I mean, when you come out against Atlanta in a cover 2 defense, I think they played man under cover 2. I don't know. Brian probably watched the all 22. He could probably have a better guess because he wasn't just watching it from the side angle you see on TV. But when you play cover 2 against them, I mean, you're leaving Sanu open on that sideline at about 10 to 15 yards depth, and he just destroyed them. And the problem with that is then they'd switch out of that defense, and Julio Jones destroys them. So it didn't seem to me like they had a game plan. Bill Belichick, when you watch him, Belichick comes out, and he's going to take away what you do the best. Because as a coach, if you take away what I do the best, number one, I don't have as much confidence in the other stuff because it's not what I do as best. It makes me uncomfortable calling plays, and then I never get in a rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Brian? What's your take on this? What is to be outcoached? What is it?
There's a couple things. One, Mike touched on, and he's exactly right. The great coaches have a great game plan, but great coaches also make adjustments. And two things when going back to New England, Pittsburgh, two things that stuck out. One I talked about was the defense, but two, and this is where I thought Belichick's game plan coming in against Pittsburgh was to limit Bell. They changed some coverages, but when Bell got hurt, you saw the adjustment immediately where they put everything on Brown and said, let these other receivers beat us, and Ben is dropping it in their hands, and they're dropping it. I mean, he got it. But the one thing that you did not see with Pittsburgh's defense, the one thing you did not see with Green Bay's defense, and even to an extent at times offensively, there was no adjustment to what was going on. Atlanta played cover 2. They played some they played some man, but they played a lot of cover 2. I'm sorry. Green Bay played a lot of cover 2, and Atlanta just picked it apart. And there was never an adjustment from Green Bay to go, well, maybe we should try something else. And great coaching and being out coached is not only about what your game plan is, but it's also about making adjustments. And we didn't see adjustments in either one of these games, which is why they were blowouts.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I don't know, we can pose this to Brian too, but if you're coaching in a football game, we both did this for over 20 years, you know if you're being out-coached, and you know if you're out-coaching the other guy. And the reason I say that is this. If you're getting out-coached, when you're calling plays and everything, the game is going really fast. Yep. When you're out-coaching the other guy, everything's slow. You got time to think about stuff. But when you're getting out-coached, everything's flying by. And a great coach can slow that game down in his mind right then and make an adjustment.
Yeah, and when you're out coaching someone, a lot of times you know what's coming. And I know, I had a situation a couple years ago with one of the great indoor players here in this league who's a legend and a Hall of Fame guy, out coaching him in the second half where they didn't score anything offensively, and it was because the game was slow for me. I was 3-4 plays ahead. And you see that in NFL games. I mean, you see that with Belichick coach teams. You saw that with Atlanta. Quinn has put himself up there as one of the best coaches in the NFL right now.
Yes.
I almost feel like I put him, in the Super Bowl. I feel like we have the two best coaches in the NFL right now. To me, Quinn has put himself number 2 behind Belichick. Now, obviously, Belichick to me is on a different plane in terms of that mountain, but the guy that's firmly entrenched at number 2 in my mind is Quinn.
Oz.
Well, thanks. I mean, what can I say? Good answers, guys. I
didn't know if you had anything else or not. I thought you were hosting a show. I was hoping because I forgot what I was going to talk about.
No, I was going to apologize for taking over, but I just finished recording the Rouge, White, and Blue show here at thegruelingtruth.net based on CFL football with Joe Pritchard.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, but happy plug. And so that's why I'm still in host mode. So sorry about that. Hijack over. I returned.
No, that's all right. If you got any more, keep going.
No, back to you, Mike. No, I have no more questions. I don't think. Let's see. Do I have? Okay. Well, we've already answered how much. Nope. I have no questions. Nope. I got nothing.
So the interrupter ran out of stuff to say, Brian.
Well, I had a question for all you guys, and that really, you guys Brian kind of answered a lot of it, at least from his end. I really feel also that Dan Quinn is among the very top coaches in football. I totally saw what you were talking about the way he puts his foot on the throat. He does not let up. He's a far better coach than a guy like maybe Jason Garrett from
Smith.
last week. Oh, but Mike Smith.
If they would have had him 3 years ago, your Niners probably don't make it to the Super Bowl because at 17-0, you're going to be down 31-0 before you know it.
It's very possible. Granted, our defense is a whole lot better than what McCarthy put out there yesterday. But, anyways, Quinn's phenomenal. It's 17-0. And they get a stop because, you get the feeling like, okay, it's 17-0 late in the second quarter. The Packers are going to get the ball in the second half. We've seen this lots of times where Rodgers leads a quick drive down the field and then gets the ball in the second half and does it again. So everyone's thinking, okay, it's going to be 17-14. Well, they get a stop, and they don't let up.
Yeah, and the thing about it, they kept coming after Rodgers even then, where a lot of teams will play a prevent.
Right. Yeah. They were sending. Corner blitzes from the right side of the defense. Rodgers would play action away from it and he'd just drill them. Rodgers starts taking hits. Any great quarterback, you start getting in his face, it's going to change things a little bit. And they were able to just stop everything the Packers put out there. And then with 11 seconds to go in the half, Julio Jones makes a fantastic catch to go up 24-0. And then immediately in the second half to get the same kind of aggressive play.
Yeah, I think they got a 3-and-out right away, didn't they?
A 3-and-out right away, and then that was when they got the 75-yard touchdown. But what I really liked about it was how they said the players were celebrating in the locker room. And Dan Quinn addressed the guys and said, reset. And all the players came out of the tunnel shouting, reset. Go at this like it's 0-0. That's how you put your foot on a team's throat. You don't get comfortable with your lead. You be aggressive the exact same way that you were in the first half, and that's what they did. They got up. And they were up 38-7, and they were still going. The only time I saw them maybe let up a little bit was there was I'm pretty sure, I don't remember who it was, but I'm pretty sure there was a fumble by the Packers. And I thought they could have challenged that, or maybe it was incomplete pass. I'm pretty sure it was a fumble, and they could have challenged it and prevented Rodgers from getting a touchdown. But by that time, it didn't really matter anyways.
Well, but geez, Matt, the Falcons played perfect offense. Zero sacks,
really
zero
did.
turnovers.
Well, and they played perfect defense, too, because you're playing Aaron Rodgers, supposed to be the hottest thing in the world, and he only puts up 21 points, and basically 14 of them were in garbage time.
Most in garbage time.
Right.
Yep.
They shut him out in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they fumbled, number one, the missed field goal is the missed field goal, but the fumble by Ripkowski, that was a defensive play that forced that. The guy comes in and strips the ball clean.
Took it right out. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I also noticed, it was in the fourth quarter. By this point, I was getting ready for what I was hoping to be a great day. It turned out to be getting bent over the barrel. But as I was watching,
did you pull a groin?
Yeah, probably a little higher than the groin. It was bad. But anyway, they showed Dan Quinn on the sideline in the fourth quarter, and the reason this pops into my head is because during the Steeler game, as I was trying to sit there and trying to sit down and really couldn't because it hurt, they showed Belichick on the sideline. And the one thing that jumped out as I thought about it is the one thing both of those guys were still doing up big is they were coaching. They hadn't quit. They hadn't stopped. And that's where great coaches don't stop coaching. Whether you're up 38-7 or you're down 38-7, you're still coaching. You're still trying to get another touchdown. You're still trying to again put your foot on somebody's throat, and that's what both of those guys do.
But Brian, the one thing that I
out.
question about NFL coaches is this: when you're up by 4 touchdowns with 4 minutes left, why are you handing the ball to Devontae Freeman, and why you got Matt Ryan in the game?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because we were having this conversation, a few of us here Monday, and I don't know what the answer is because I've noticed the same thing. They're not taking these guys out, and
now, every NFL team does this.
I don't understand.
I mean, I understand why like the Browns do it and stuff because
Packers took out Rodgers.
Huh?
Packers took out Rodgers on their last 2 drives.
Yeah, but my question is this: Rodgers has got 6 months to heal if he gets hurt. Matt Ryan doesn't.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, who's Atlanta's backup quarterback?
Don't even know.
Anybody know?
Nope.
Pass.
Come on, Oz, you should know this. You're the one that does all the research before the show.
I should know this. Yeah, I didn't research the backup quarterback.
Top priority.
I know Jimmy Garoppolo
backup.
Yeah, but the thing is this, backup quarterback could end up being a top priority.
Did anybody honestly see Matt Ryan scoring from a 14-yard run going into that game?
I guess the Packers defense you could, but
how about that?
That was a great play.
Matt Schaub is their backup quarterback.
No way.
Oh,
dear
Lord. Oh, there's a lot worse.
I thought he was out of the league.
Matt Schaub.
He's returned from fantasy hell, Mike. Oh, Matt.
Well, there's a lot worse players in the world that could be your backup quarterback. Because their third-string quarterback's Matt Sims.
No.
Which, by the way, his dad is maybe the worst announcer in professional football history.
No
Am
question.
I wrong there? I know Brian watched the game. Have you ever heard a worse announcer than... the only one that might be worse is his son, Chris, who does the games too. Because he always tells the Bengals to Bengals.
You got to
Here's my whole problem with the CBS main announcing crew of Sim and Nance is sometimes when they talk like, especially Nance, he talks like a Valley girl. So do you think that everything is going to be okay?
And then Phil Simms will say something intelligent like, well, if they can protect the quarterback, they've got a good chance of keeping the quarterback upright.
Well, thank you very much, Captain Obvious.
Yeah.
You got to go on Twitter and read Phil Simms' quotes. It's hilarious.
34. Do you think there's a chance they'll throw the ball here, Jim?
Yeah, but Nance is guilty of one of my least favorite cliches, which is this. And I really hate this. I've gone off on this about the CFL guys before. I love this cliche where it's like, the team that has the ball last is going to win the game. Okay, no matter what the score is, no matter at what point you say that, you still have a 50% chance of being correct. I mean, it's like, why do people think that's some great prediction? It's not.
It's kind of like a weatherman saying there's a 50-50 chance of rain tomorrow.
Right, exactly. Maybe it'll
and then taking credit when it rains.
Right. See, look what I said.
I mean, that drives me up the wall. The team that has the ball last will win the game. Yeah, well, 50% chance, dude. Flip a coin. You know?
All right. So we're going to wrap this up, and unless Oz had some more stuff to just ramble on about.
Oh, no. Rambling.
Oz is just pumped up because he wasn't introduced first tonight. But you will be next week, Oz. for the Jimmy Garoppolo prediction.
Yeah, I know, because I went 0-0, so I'm the big loser this week.
No, because you were the one that said that Tom Brady was expendable and Jimmy Garoppolo's not.
I never said. See, now you're putting.
Wait a second. Did you not say that, guys? I could have swore.
As I know, I don't think you were trying to say that, but that is what you said.
You said Tom Brady was expendable.
I got a little nervous that Matt sounded like Jim Nance for a second.
Okay. All right.
Is everything okay?
Hey, Valley Girl, he's a 49er fan. What do you expect? At least he doesn't speak with a lisp.
Why is he not expendable? Because he's a quarterback?
He's Tom Brady.
Is that the reason?
Because he's Tom Brady and he's still playing at this level.
You know,
he's not
Joe
playing
Montana
at a lower
was expendable
level.
because Joe Montana had missed a season with injuries, and they had Steve Young backing him up. Big difference between Steve Young and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, the only reason why you can think that is because Steve Young got to go jerk around in the USFL for a year or two. You could see what he was made of.
It was a very simple.
Yeah, but then he went to Tampa Bay, and he sat on the bench for 3 years behind Montana. But Bill Walsh knew quarterbacks, and he knew Steve Young could play it.
Okay,
here's the thing about that
Bill
trade.
Walsh was gone, but the fact was this: you had George Seavey, he had a new coach. You know, he wanted his own identity. He went with Steve Young, and Montana had been hurt so much over those last couple of years that he was expendable. There is nothing that has happened to Tom Brady that would make him expendable.
Exactly. Okay, you look at what happened to Montana. He got hurt at the 1990 championship game. He missed the 91 and 92 seasons. And the 92 season, Steve Young's the MVP of the league. Of course he's expendable, and they got a lot for him. Exactly.
Okay, but
nothing like that has happened to Tom Brady.
Okay, but all right. Here, there are a couple of things. First of all, again, yes, he has missed an entire season. Okay,
in 2008,
almost 10 years ago.
Okay, but wait. Look, this is a joint injury. Okay, which means it doesn't go away. If you get hit again, you are slowed down to the point of ineffectiveness. Okay, but look, I don't.
He gets hit again, maybe he's expendable.
Hold on.
If anybody gets hit, they could be knocked out.
Right. I mean, this is part of what I'm saying. I don't think anybody in the New England organization is foolish enough to go all in on Brady at his age.
I think they are. I think they have
to go in all in.
No,
I'd go all in.
Changes everything.
I totally go all in on this.
One play
Matt
changes
would have
everything.
no problem with Tom Brady showing up to quarterback the 49ers.
28 touchdowns, 2 picks in 12 games. Huh. At 39 years old, he doesn't look like he's falling down at all.
The Steelers have good quarterbacks. But I would bet that, Brian would give up Ben, and I'd give up Dalton in a heartbeat for a year of Tom Brady.
Okay, so if you're the Patriots...
You imagine what Tom Brady could do with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, Brian? And I think Dick is a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he's not Tom Brady.
Probably got to bring Belichick along, though, too, right?
No, I don't think he'd have to. I think that he's probably, he has been coached by what we've all, I think, agreed is the greatest coach in NFL history. He's been coached like that for 15 or 16 years. He could probably go to Pittsburgh, replace Tomlin, and be the quarterback and the coach.
Yes, absolutely.
Very possible.
And Tomlin can still cheerlead on the sidelines.
Or get in the way of kickoff returns.
There you go.
And how in the world do McCarthy and Tomlin both have complete identical doppelgangers on the sidelines with them? You guys haven't seen this?
No.
How's that? No. How's that?
They both, Tomlin and McCarthy, both have an assistant coach that looks exactly like them.
Who? Omar Epps? Who is?
I don't know their names.
Who is Tomlin's coach that looks exactly like him?
I don't know their names. I'll send you the picture. I knew McCarthy.
Do you think maybe it's because they're so hated they're afraid maybe somebody's going to take a shot at them and maybe that way they'll shoot the wrong one?
Yeah, they look like stunt doubles.
Maybe the assistant coaches are actually them then.
I mean, Brian, are you aware of this, that Tomlin's got an assistant that looks just like him?
No, but now I want to look because I've never noticed it. But
well, now you'll have to post a picture and tag us all in it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys.
All right,
it's on
guys.
my wall.
We're gonna. Hey, Brian, are you and Dwight doing a season wrap-up show or not?
yeah, we're gonna do a season wrap-up show tomorrow, and it'll be a lot of fun.
All right, now Oz has got the Ram show with Tony Hunter, but they wrapped their season up in week 4.
Yeah.
Matt's team wrapped his season up in week 3. My team wrapped their season up in like week 10, so we don't even have to talk about that. Next week, we will have the Super Bowl Pick'em show. We'll have some surprise guests. Mark Cooper from the Denver Broncos will be back with us to help pick the Super Bowl. Brian, any final words?
Yeah, no words for me.
All right. I guess you won't have to send anybody a terrible towel now either, right? They lost.
No, we lasted longer than everybody else's team on this show, so I don't have to send them any.
Doesn't matter because we're all watching the Super Bowl.
That is true, but
because you know what? This is the thing, Brian. I don't want to hear it because if the Bengals made it to the AFC Championship game and the Steelers didn't make the playoffs, and I said something like that, you would immediately say one of two things. Number one would be how many Super Bowls you've been to and won, or number two, it doesn't matter because you ain't in the Super Bowl, and if you don't make it to the Super Bowl, your season don't matter.
That's true, but luckily my third thing I would say now is my seat on the couch is a lot less warm than the rest of everybody else's, so I'm good.
A lot less warm. So you didn't sit on the couch when you watched this last game?
No, I told you that watching this game made my ass hurt.
I thought that was Oz that made your ass hurt. Oz, you got any last words?
Listen to this. Yeah.
I would like to clarify that Brian was not expecting it when it happened either. Oz, final words?
He pulled a groin as well. Now, listen.
Hey, he just pulled his own. You're from California, so you probably pulled somebody else's. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll discuss this more next week. Not the groin pulling, but the other games, but the game itself. But look, Matt will appreciate this. I'm going to get a head start on next year's fantasy football rankings. I'm ranking as my number one quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo.
Hey, it can't be any worse than when you rank Blake Bortles as number one.
Sure can't. Blake Bortles was not number one, but he was.
And the Jaguars are going to be the surprise team of the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to say on the preseason pick'em show, I picked the Patriots to win it all. I picked them to beat the Packers, but I did pick the Patriots to win it all.
I did the Patriots over the Cardinals, and I got the NFC wrong.
I have the Patriots over the Seahawks.
I picked the Patriots, so I'm still in it, but I still don't know which team to pick right now because I really like Atlanta.
I know, and you're not still in it. You're 2 games back. Matt, any final words?
I am sure I was going to continue to talk about groin pulling and
he always does. He calls me every morning to tell me about it.
Yeah, so we'll
what I do.
We'll
my phone will ring. I'll look at it. It'll say, "Oh, Davis," and I'll look at my wife. And say, "Here we go with the groin pulling again."
So we'll let Oz get back to groin pulling and head starts and stuff like that next week.
Did you say head start?
Yeah, that's what he said. But I think it's going to take me quite a while to figure out who I'm going to pick in this game because I really think Atlanta's got a shot, but boy, it's really hard to bet against Brady.
Yes, it is. Brian did, and it did not work out well.
No, it didn't.
I think it was the only time any of us picked against Brady this year.
Yeah,
I didn't pick against him all year.
All right, guys, make sure you check out The Grueling Truth at thegruelingtruth.net. Check out all of our articles, all our shows. Just added a basketball writer for the ACC, added another NFL writer. Oz hardly ever writes. What?
That's not
Oz is our editor. But make sure you check out all of our shows. We had the Inside Boxing Weekly show this week, previewing the rematch between Carl Frampton and Leo Santa Cruz, which was the fight of the year last year, and Frampton was the fighter of the year, so make sure you check out that show. Make sure you go check out Gridironmo at www.gridironmo.com. So for Brian Schmidt, Oz Davis, Matt Andruscavage, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.